I'm intrigued by this concept of failure as you saw structure in your composition. Could you share an example of how you've intentionally incorporate breakdown or failure as a generative element?
So I mentioned in my earlier compositions that I would have these need solutions and this need teleology and
Mm-hmm.
directionalities. I like this idea of like proposing, I guess like setting up directionalities in my music or
Mm-hmm.
setting up like sort of like proposing beings in my environment and like having them be good at a particular thing in an abstract way,
Mm-hmm.
but have it so that the directionality that's set up or the thing that they're good at is not like satisfied. So
Mm-hmm.
a classic example is that okay, you set up a direction and it's like it's almost like it just like hits a wall and
Mm-hmm.
it is once it hits this wall, it like it's not that nothing happens, right? Even though the
Mm-hmm.
thing that the being that it was trying to do isn't achieved, like this sort of like running into this barrier produces like a result. So that
Mm-hmm.
this hitting a wall is like really interesting for me. Like what happens when, in particular, when a being, has to face a barrier and it can't overcome
Mm-hmm.
it, the barrier, and it
Mm-hmm.
realizes that it can't overcome the barrier. The other idea that I'm really interested in with failure is like so there's failure there's the kind of failure that's like let's say I'm cooking some. This is an example of the heating wall. So let's say I'm
Yeah.
cooking something and I just like completely burn it, and it's like it's terrible. It's all burnt and it's like barely edible, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
at that moment when the meal is finished, it's like very obvious in that moment that I failed to create like a good dish, right? But there's another kind of failure where like let's say you spend your task with one thing in life and your task is like find a very small item in like in an entire country.